your hand to launch these strikes against Iran? Did Netanyahu pull the United States into this war?
No, I might have forced their hand. You see, we were having negotiations with these lunatics, and it was my opinion that they were going to attack first. They were going to attack. If we didn't do it, they were going to attack first. I felt strongly about that. And we have great negotiators, great people that do this very successfully and have done it all their lives very successful. And based on the way the negotiation was going, I think they were going to attack first. And I didn't want that to happen. So if anything, I might have forced Israel's hand. But Israel was ready and we were ready, and we've had a very, very powerful impact because virtually everything they have has been knocked out now.
Hello guys, Adam is here. The Pentagon just dropped a bombshell that changes everything. Classified briefings to Congress have been leaked, and what they reveal is absolutely devastating for Donald Trump. Not just politically damaging, but legally catastrophic. Career-ending catastrophic.
There's been this reaction here on Capitol Hill. Most Republicans are siding with President Trump, and you have Democrats who are saying, we need more information here about what's exactly going on. And the fact that most Democrats say that this war is unauthorized. They say that, certainly with a military buildup of this magnitude in the region, that he should have, in fact, come to Congress in some form. So this is going to be the debate you're going to hear. This starts with a couple of briefings. Now, last night there was a briefing for what's called the Gang of Eight, and you might have heard that term batted around a lot the past couple of days. Gang of Eight is the top leaders in both the House and Senate, and then the top leaders of both intelligence committees, so a total of 8 people. So you have House Speaker Mike Johnson, and then you have the House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries.
Because the leak proves that before Trump launched Operation Epic Fury, before he ordered strikes that killed Americans and cost billions, the Pentagon told Congress there was no imminent Iranian threat. Zero. No evidence Iran was planning to attack American forces. No intelligence suggesting troops were in immediate danger. Nothing. And Trump launched the war anyway.
Senate lawmakers just voted down a war powers resolution introduced by multiple Democrats. If passed, the resolution would have blocked President Trump from ordering more strikes on Iran without congressional approval. The National News Desk, Jeff Harris, joins us, and you've been following this resolution all day, Jeff. Were there any surprises, or did lawmakers vote as expected?
So there were only 2 lawmakers who voted against party lines earlier today, but both were expected. John Fetterman, a Democrat, voting against the resolution, and Rand Paul, a Republican, voting for it. However, 4 GOP senators who were mostly undecided going into the day ended up voting against it as well, including Lisa Murkowski and Tom Tillis.
The yeas are 47, the nays are 53. The motion to discharge is not approved.
This is a smoking gun. This is absolute proof that Trump violated the War Powers Act. This is proof that his claims of self-defense were false. This is proof he lied to Congress. This is proof he lied to the American people. This is proof he launched what military experts are now calling a war of choice, not a defensive operation, based on a threat that didn't exist. And the timing couldn't be worse for Trump. The leak dropped on March 3rd. The same day, the House Judiciary Committee voted to advance impeachment articles. The same day, the Supreme Court ordered Trump to pay $175 billion in tariff refunds. The same day, classified documents evidence got unsealed. Everything is collapsing at once, and now the Pentagon is exposing the lies at the core of this entire military operation. Here's what the leak revealed. Before the strikes began, the Pentagon briefed Congress on the intelligence situation regarding Iran. This is standard procedure. Before a president launches military action that will kill people and cost billions, he's supposed to explain the threat to Congress. He's supposed to justify the operation. The Pentagon's briefing said, and I'm quoting from the leaked documents now circulating through Reuters and every major news outlet, there is no intelligence indicating that Iran is planning to imminently attack United States forces. No imminent threat. That's the conclusion of military intelligence experts after reviewing all available information. No evidence of an imminent Iranian attack. No justification based on immediate danger to American forces. So what was Trump basing his decision on? What threat was he responding to? Because the Pentagon didn't see one. Trump has offered different explanations at different times, the classic sign of someone making it up as he goes. On March the 2nd, he was on CNN saying, "We're knocking the crap out of Iran." He was talking about how great the operation was going, how there was a big wave yet to come. He was framing it as a preemptive strike against an imminent threat, justifying it as self-defense, claiming Iran was about to attack American forces. But the Pentagon leak proves that was a lie. The Pentagon didn't brief Congress that Iran was planning an imminent attack. So Trump misled Congress. He misled the American people. He misled the entire world about why he launched a war. This completely changes the legal situation because the War Powers Act is very specific. Military operations must be either in response to an actual armed attack that has already occurred or in response to an imminent threat that is about to happen. If there's no actual attack and no imminent threat identified by the intelligence community, the president needs congressional authorization. He needs to go to Congress, ask for a vote, follow the Constitution. Trump had no congressional authorization. He didn't ask for a vote. He didn't follow the Constitution. He just launched the operation on his own. And now we know from the Pentagon leak there wasn't even a threat to justify it. Trump violated the War Powers Act for something that wasn't necessary. He launched a military operation that killed Americans based on a threat the Pentagon explicitly said didn't exist. The timing of the leak is incredibly important. March 3rd, the same day Congress voted on impeachment. That's either a massive coincidence, or someone in the Pentagon, someone in the military or intelligence community wanted to make sure Congress had the smoking gun evidence they needed to vote for impeachment. Either way, the leak is devastating because it proves Trump lied. It proves he violated the War Powers Act. It proves Congress was misled about the justification for this military operation. And Trump's response? Pure panic. He's scrambling, shifting his justifications like a politician caught in a lie. First, Trump was saying, "We had to act because there was an imminent threat." He went on television claiming Iran was about to attack, using language about self-defense and preventing an attack that was coming. Now that the Pentagon briefings are leaked and Congress knows there was no imminent threat, Trump is changing his story. Now he's saying, okay, maybe there wasn't an imminent threat, but we had to act anyway because Iran is bad and we wanted to take out the supreme leader as a strategic move. He's basically admitting this was a war of choice, not a defensive military operation. He's admitting he didn't follow the War Powers Act. He's admitting he made this decision unilaterally without congressional authorization. And Republicans in Congress are starting to realize they can't defend him on this. 3 House Republicans already voted for impeachment. 3 members of his own party looked at the evidence and said, "No, this is wrong. Trump violated the law." More might be coming because now they have the Pentagon briefings. Now they have proof. Now they have undisputed evidence from the military that there was no imminent threat. Now they have a legal case they can explain to their constituents. Republicans are going to have to go on record either supporting Trump or opposing him. Supporting Trump means supporting a president who launched a war of choice, violated the War Powers Act, and lied about the justification. That's a terrible political position heading into the midterms. The damage to Trump's credibility is enormous. If he lied about the threat justification for the Iran operation, how can anyone believe what he says about anything? If he's willing to mislead Congress about why he launched a military operation that killed Americans, what else is he lying about? If he's willing to violate the War Powers Act for something that wasn't even necessary, what does that say about his judgment, his fitness for office, whether he should remain president? This is the kind of thing that destroys a presidency. In the broader context, it makes everything worse. Trump is already dealing with the tariff crisis, the classified documents evidence being unsealed, judicial defeats at the Supreme Court, approval ratings at 41%, and now the Pentagon leak exposing his Iran war lies. This could be the final blow. This could be the moment when even his own party starts abandoning him because the evidence is too clear. This could be the moment when senators start looking at conviction as a real possibility. Let's break down what this means legally and politically. First, the legal situation is now clear. Trump violated the War Powers Act. The Pentagon briefings prove it. The Pentagon said there was no imminent threat. Trump launched the operation anyway without congressional authorization. That's a violation of federal law. The House has already voted to advance impeachment articles based on this violation. Now it goes to the Senate for a trial. And in that trial, the Pentagon briefings will be introduced as evidence. Senators will see that the Pentagon said there was no imminent threat. They'll read the intelligence briefings. They'll look at the evidence and have to decide whether to convict or acquit. The challenge for Trump is that the Pentagon briefings are undisputed evidence. This isn't opinion or interpretation. This is what the Pentagon briefed Congress. This is what military intelligence experts concluded after reviewing all available intelligence. This is what the professionals said. Senators can't really argue there was an imminent threat because the Pentagon says there wasn't. They can't really argue Trump was acting in self-defense because the Pentagon says there was no threat to defend against. Trump's legal defense is evaporating. His main justification for the military operation is being exposed as false. The number of Republican senators willing to vote for conviction might be higher than people initially thought. Now they have the Pentagon briefings. Now they have concrete evidence there was no imminent threat. Now they can vote for conviction and point to the Pentagon briefings as justification. They can say, look, the Pentagon said there was no imminent threat, so the president violated the War Powers Act. That's a legal defense for voting to convict. That makes sense. That's a defense they can explain to their constituents. That's a defense based on the Constitution and the law, not on politics. Remember, you need 67 votes to convict and remove Trump from office. Democrats have 51 votes if every Democratic senator votes for conviction. So you need 17 Republican senators to reach the 67-vote threshold. 17 Republican senators. That sounds like a lot, but if the Pentagon briefings show there was no imminent threat, if the evidence is clear that Trump violated the War Powers Act, you might actually get 17 Republicans willing to vote for conviction. You might get moderate Republicans voting to convict. You might get Republicans who care about the Constitution voting to convict. You might get a bipartisan majority voting to remove this president from office. The timing of the leak is also important politically. It happened on March 3rd, the same day Congress voted on impeachment. That means the leak came out right around the same time as the impeachment vote. That means Congress might have been influenced by the leak. That means the leak might have been designed to influence how senators vote. Either way, the leak is devastating for Trump. It comes at the perfect moment to influence the Senate trial. Politically, this leak is catastrophic because it proves Trump lied about the justification for the military operation. It proves he violated the War Powers Act. It proves he launched a war of choice instead of a defensive military operation. That's the kind of thing that destroys a president's credibility. That's the kind of thing that makes people lose faith in the government. That's the kind of thing that energizes opposition voters and makes them want to vote against Trump and Republicans in the midterms. Republican fracturing is accelerating. 3 House Republicans already voted for impeachment. More might be coming because now they have the Pentagon briefings. Now they have proof. Now they can vote against Trump without being accused of being partisan. They can point to the Pentagon briefings and say, this is about the law and the Constitution, not about politics. This is about whether we follow the rule of law or whether we let the president violate the Constitution. The damage to Trump's credibility as a military leader is enormous. If he lied about the threat justification for the Iran operation, how can anyone trust what he says about military matters? If he's willing to mislead Congress about why he launched a military operation, what else is he lying about? If he launched this operation without a legitimate justification, what does that say about his judgment, his ability to be commander-in-chief, his ability to be president? The broader context is devastating because Trump isn't just dealing with the Pentagon leak. He's dealing with the tariff crisis, classified documents, evidence being unsealed, Pam Bondi's public meltdowns, judicial defeats, approval at 41%. He's dealing with all of these things at the same time. The Pentagon leak is just the latest disaster in a string of disasters destroying his presidency. Each crisis feeds into the others. Each problem makes the next problem worse. The economic impact continues to worsen. Oil prices are still high at $95 a barrel. The military operation is still costing $2 billion a day. The tariff refunds still have to be paid out. The economy is still under pressure. The budget is still under massive stress. And now there's added uncertainty because nobody knows what Trump will do next. Nobody knows if he'll escalate the military operation further. Nobody knows if he'll launch more strikes. That uncertainty affects markets and economic activity around the world. The Gulf allies are still under threat from Iranian retaliation. The regional situation is still unstable. American credibility in the region is still damaged. And all of this is happening because Trump launched a war of choice based on false pretenses. He violated the War Powers Act. He lied about the justification. He got Americans killed. And now the Pentagon is exposing the lies for everyone to see. From a midterm perspective, this is huge. Voters will look at the Pentagon leak and see that Trump lied. They'll see that he violated the War Powers Act. They'll see that he launched a military operation that killed Americans without a legitimate justification. They'll see that 3 of his own party members voted for impeachment, and they'll vote accordingly. They'll vote against Republicans heading into the midterms. They'll say, "We can't trust this president. We can't trust this party. We need a change." The Senate trial is coming. It will be dominated by the Pentagon briefings. It will focus on whether Trump violated the War Powers Act. The Pentagon briefings show there was no imminent threat. Senators will have to vote on whether to convict Trump for violating the War Powers Act when the evidence clearly shows that he did. They'll have to consider whether they want to remove him from office or let him stay despite violating the Constitution. The stakes are enormous. If Trump isn't convicted and removed, the precedent is set that a president can launch military operations without congressional authorization and without a legitimate justification. The War Powers Act becomes essentially meaningless. Congress has no power to check the president's military actions. That's a fundamental shift in the balance of power. That's the end of the constitutional system of checks and balances. The Pentagon leak is a turning point. It's the moment when the evidence becomes undeniable. It's the moment when even Republicans have to acknowledge Trump violated the law. It's the moment when the president's justification for a military operation that killed Americans is exposed as a lie. That kind of moment defines presidencies. That kind of moment changes elections. That kind of moment can lead to removal from office. The bottom line is clear. The Pentagon leak proves Trump violated the War Powers Act. It proves he lied about the threat justification. It proves he launched a war of choice that killed Americans without legitimate justification. That evidence will dominate the Senate impeachment trial. That evidence will be remembered by voters heading into the midterms. And that evidence might be enough to get 17 Republican senators to vote for conviction and remove Trump from office. Stay tuned. The Senate trial is coming, and everything is about to change.